It is October 20th, 2017. This is the Watchman News, and I'm Mike Callahan. I talk a lot about freedom on this show and on this channel. I talk a lot about freedom everywhere, social media, you name it. But I'm of what seems to be a kind of small group of people that understand that freedom is for all. Not just those that agree with us or those that make us feel warm and fuzzy. Freedom's for everybody. And, you know, the interesting thing is, whatever way it goes, right, with different people, they say, well, they shouldn't do that, or they shouldn't be allowed to do that, or, you know, and a lot of this stuff is actually going into the individual liberties of a human being. And, you know, I wasn't outraged when Colin Kaepernick kneeled during the national anthem. It didn't faze me. It didn't faze me. For one, I considered the facts in the whole ordeal. Okay? He was not protesting the military. Not in any way, shape, or form. That was misconstrued by people that don't want the message of true liberty to get out. That's the only answer I can come up with, why people would tell lies about what a person is doing or what a person stands for, right? Once you do that, that's propaganda. That's an agenda that's other than the intent of the person that did whatever it was. Colin Kaepernick, the only thing that he wanted to do was make it apparent of the injustice that's going on. And, you know, it doesn't matter what he would have done. It doesn't matter what anybody does. Somebody's going to have a problem with it. Somebody's going to cry about it. So that's why I'm of the thought process of as long as you're not directly harming another individual, you stand for freedom how you stand for freedom. But when you're standing for freedom, remember that you don't have a right to stand in the way of somebody else's freedom. Now, there's a video that a lady had put out October 14th. And it's bothersome to me on several different levels. For one, just to see the distress that she has mentally as she's making this video. To do my best to put myself in her shoes to understand where her mind and her heart is in all of this. And it's insane. It's insane the amount of sorrow that I felt. And yes, I felt frustration. I felt anger. This is incredible. So a lady had shot a video, put it up on Facebook, of an experience she had on an airplane flight. And in the comments of the video, there was a lady that spoke out, and man, it just really rubbed me wrong. Telling her about how this woman that's in this video, that made this video, about how wrong she was and why. And so I reminded her, just like I remind everybody here, that we are just one of 7.5 billion people on this ball of dirt. And I've tried to put myself in the shoes of everybody involved here. I do that more often than what people probably even realize. And I'm just at a loss. I'm at a loss as to why a company would step in the way and prevent something like she wanted to do. Total loss. Now, it's my understanding that there have been people that have called the airlines ever since about this and outrage, and it's from my understanding that the airline's telling people, oh no, that's not one of our policies, and blah blah blah. Folks, we see it everywhere. We see the attack on Christians, the attack on patriots. We see it everywhere. So I have no doubt of what this lady is saying. And I really do think her emotion says it all. But I wanted, before I play this, I wanted to really emphasize the fact that folks like Colin Kaepernick absolutely has the right to protest the national anthem. Most certainly he does. Most certainly he does. It's sad because when we start stepping on other people's liberties, that invites others to step on our own liberties. It's a hard pill to swallow, and I don't get how it's so hard to see, or it's so hard of a concept to grasp. But that's the way it works. I've said it a million times. If you walk up to somebody on the street and you cuss them out, guess what? They're probably going to cuss you out. If you walk up to somebody in the street and you punch them in the face, they're probably going to punch you in the face, or I sure hope they do. But if you walk out and you extend your hand in greeting, they're probably going to do the same. Not always. Not always. But hey, you're only in control of you. So I just wanted to point that out because I stand completely behind this woman. I stand completely behind what this woman wanted to do. And I extremely stand completely behind her right to do it. Now, I guess I absolutely also stand behind a private corporation's viewpoint, to prevent this lady from doing it. I have to stand behind that, folks. I have to stand behind that. I have to stand behind liberty. I have to. Anything else would make me a hypocrite. You know? I stand behind the bakers that don't want to make cakes for certain people, for certain weddings, for whatever. I stand behind that. But I also stand behind people that want to protest outside of that bakery. I stand behind that too. I stand behind that too. It's a free market, or it's supposed to be a free market. Which means that if somebody has a beef with a company's viewpoint on a political or a social issue, then you have the right not to do business with them. Just as much as you have the right to do business with them if you agree. Which brings me up to the whole other point. What the hell does it matter what a company's social or political viewpoint is on something? Where have we become as a country to where we have to pick and choose where we buy a burger at under whether or not they support this or against this, or they're there to serve you your damn burger and fries. Not to make you feel warm and fuzzy inside. You know, a little bit of realism in this reality TV world would be nice. Sure would be. Anyway, this lady, I believe it's this lady here. Her name is Pamela D. Gaudry, and I apologize if I mispronounced the name there. It says she's traveling to Atlanta Airport from Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport. In the comment or in the description of the video, she wrote, "A complete lack of courage on my part. As God is my witness, I promise that it will not happen again. God bless this great country. We need it desperately. Please share." And right now, without refreshing, it's setting at 6.3 million views. Okay? I think it's important. I think it's important for folks to see this. I think it's important for folks to share this. But I think it's even more important to remember that we have to defend both sides. We have to defend both sides. But we got to know where our limits are. And if your heart resonates with this woman, I know mine does. I know mine does, absolutely. If your heart resonates with this woman, then choose not to patronize Delta Airlines. Period. Choose not to patronize them. We have that right. We have that right. That's what we need. We need our Constitution back. Anyway, here's Pamela and her heartfelt video. Oh, I guess you guys want to see video. Hang on. Let me refresh the page here. It's a little wonky on me. We'll try this again. By the way, in that time, it has made it to 6.6 million views. Another 0.3 million views in the time since I started the show.
Hey, my name is Pam Gaudry. I am a physician, and I am the wife of a deceased Navy captain, and not who died in the line of duty. And he gave 20 years of his life to the Navy. I just did the most uncourageous thing in my life today, and I'm sharing it, and I hope that somehow it gets to people all around, and even the president. So I was on a flight from Philadelphia to Atlanta today, and we had a deceased soldier who was also accompanied by his best friend, a man in uniform. And the captain came on and asked if we would all remain seated while the soldier got off the plane first, and while the honor guard took the deceased soldier out of the plane, which was great. I had an idea. It was just one of those spontaneous ideas that it would be so neat when this soldier stood up, and while the honor guard was going on, taking him off, that we should sing the national anthem. And so I went around to each seat and I asked if people felt comfortable doing it, if they would join me. And most people were thrilled out of their minds, and several women cried and said, you know, that's so beautiful. And I had so many people come up to me and say, you know, we should make a habit of this, and this would be great. And, you know, it's a great honor to the boys' parents and wife and perhaps children. Anyway, I went to every seat, and some people said fine, and others didn't want to do it, which was fine. I just said whatever you feel comfortable doing. And after I sat back down, it was apparent that the plane was starting to descend, and the chief flight attendant came up to my seat, and she kneeled down and she said, it is against company policy to do what you're doing. And I said, the national anthem? And there's a soldier on board? And she said, yes, you cannot sing the national anthem. It is against
your attention, please.
Company policy. And
please maintain control of your bags at all times and report any unattended baggage.
I said, well, I just told every single person on this plane that we were going to do it. Are you going to tell them not to? Because I'm not going around and telling them not to sing. But they did make an announcement that we were to stay quietly in our seats and be very quiet. And she did not tell the rest of the plane that this singing the national anthem for this soldier was against company policy. She told me that several of the people on the plane were from other countries and that they were uncomfortable with us singing the national anthem. So the soldier got up, they whisked him out very quickly, which I assumed would happen when word got out to the flight crew that we were going to do this. And we all sat in silence as the honor guard took the soldier off the plane. I was a little scared that I would be taken away by, I didn't know what would happen to me if I started singing, but I'm humiliated by my lack of courage to sing the national anthem in my own country on American soil. With a deceased soldier on the plane. I wish I could have been an example for my children. I'm glad my husband, my former husband, is deceased, because he would have been profoundly disappointed in me. And I can tell you that having been in Vietnam and saved a lot of people's lives there, he would have been horribly disappointed in me. So I just wanted people to know that this happened. Obviously, I'm still in the airport and disheveled because I've been flying all day, and emotional because this happened. Many people on the plane were upset, and they said, all we can do is pray. All we can do is pray that this will be, that this kind of thing doesn't continue to happen. I wish I had had more courage to start singing. It's too late now. I know a lot of people were upset that it didn't happen, and I guess some people are happy. So hopefully this will get shared around the country, and people will know that it is the policy of Delta to not be able to sing the national anthem on one of their planes. I guess that's all I got to say. Y'all have a great rest of the weekend.
That's kind of disturbing to me. One of the ladies in the comments was saying that she would have been in the absolute wrong, and claiming that she was trying to take that moment from the soldier and make it about her. And I don't get how you get there from that. But I had some pretty incredibly nasty things to say to this lady. I used words that I don't normally ever use. Because it was just absolutely wrong. One of the claims was that the soldier by law would have had to have stopped and saluted until she finished singing the national anthem. And that may be true. That may be true. And it's an event that soldier was never going to forget to begin with, right? It was never. It's an event that a soldier would just. It's not going to forget. If you're escorting your friend's body home to his final resting place, that's not something you're going to forget. But to say that you would be causing harm on that moment by singing the national anthem, might I remind people of the Vietnam vets that got spit on and treated like dogs when they came back to this country. It's not about whether or not you agree with the war. Not about that. It's about what those men and women had to sacrifice. That's what it's about. They're individuals. They're not the government. They're individuals. And their sacrifice was beyond what I could even mentally think of. And that's how they got treated. Much like the veterans today that you don't hear about because they're homeless. That you don't hear about because they've either already died or they're suffering from conditions that they have a hell of a time getting help for because the VA is so screwed up. Not a whole lot different. But if I were to put myself in that soldier's shoes, and I could be wrong, but I think that a moment that a woman started singing the national anthem and many others on the plane joining right along would have been a blessing. Would have been a blessing. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I don't know this guy. But this is how sick our country has become. Not allowed to sing the national anthem when you should be able to. Not allowed to talk about God at all. Or read a Bible in schools. Or even wear a shirt to school with an American flag on it. Can't even wear a shirt to school with something about the Second Amendment on it. Oh no. Can't do that. The entire meaning of our country is being sucked away. And we are letting them do it. I wished I could go back in time and take this lady with me and change that. Because that's going to be a moment that she'll likely never forget. And one that she'll likely never be able to forgive herself for. Talk about standing in the way of somebody's life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Insane. It's insane. I hope God does bless this country. But we damn well better straighten up if we expect that to happen again.